from Hollywood, I'm Martin Grove, welcoming you to our Screendollars podcast, Box Office Autopsy. In today's conversation, we'll look at the marketplace and analyze how things are going and where they're going. Joining me on the line now is Screendollars box office guru Dick Walsh. Between Dick's career in exhibition, including as film chairman of AMC Entertainment, and my own days talking about movies on CNN, Entertainment Tonight, and as a Hollywood Reporter columnist, we've logged nearly 100 years in Hollywood. That doesn't mean we're always right, but we've definitely got a few opinions to share. Well, Dick, it was another weekend, a great one for Disney Marvel, for Shang-chi, but maybe not for anybody else.
Yeah, the month is turning out to be exceptionally slow, and that shouldn't take anything away from Shang-chi, who is probably going to dominate the month, but September is not doing very well, and of course we had all hoped that there would have been better things coming out of the month.
Yes, but look, at least we have one strong picture with legs. Those legs, thanks, I think, in large part to the fact that it did not open with day-and-date streaming. This weekend, it did almost $22 million more. It was only off 37%. That's a pretty good hold for weekend 3.
Oh, absolutely. So you've got to, this will go down as the September month of Shang-Chi, and it deserves all the credit it can get. And for the fact that it's not dropping that much means that word of mouth is excessively strong, and the picture's to be congratulated, even if it's doing well in a less than stellar month.
Yes, and we have a scene from the film, and this one, too, illustrates what's great about this movie as to how entertaining it is. In this scene, Simu Liu and Awkwafina are walking through this building, and they're seeing all these fights going on either side of the aisle that they're walking down, and the guy who's escorting them through this explains that they stream live fights on the dark web, and Simu Liu is going to fight. He, of course, isn't there to fight, but they've got him. And Awkwafina says, "Is he going to be fighting over here?" And the guy says, "Oh, no. He's going to be fighting up there. And up there is a huge monster in a cage." And he's destroying his opponent. So let's give a listen to Simu Liu and Awkwafina.
Okay, let's get you ready to fight.
Wait, what?
Well, multi-platform global operation. Every fight live stream on the dark web. Thousands of viewers placing bets as we speak. This is gonna take your brand to a whole new level.
I think there's been some sort of confusion.
I like your spike face.
Usually, you gotta fight your way to Central Ring. But a viral star like you, front of the line, baby.
I'm not here to fight anybody. Okay, I'm looking for my sister, Su Xiaoling.
Never heard of her. We just lost a fighter at the last minute, so you get the next slot. Nice one, Helen.
Is he gonna be fighting in one of these?
Oh, no. These are like low-level fights. You're gonna be fighting up there.
That's a scene from Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and we'll probably bring you another scene next week because it'll still be playing in theaters and holding its own well. Now, there was a newcomer that came up to bat this weekend, and I think it's fair to say struck out, and Dick, that was Cry Macho, the Clint Eastwood Western from Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it only did $4.5 million, and incidentally, this is the lowest gross ever for a Clint Eastwood directed and acted in picture in wide release. So not that much was expected from this, but I don't know that we would reach an all-time low.
Well, exhibitors were talking about maybe $7 to $9 million. They would have been very happy with that, and even that, as you know, is not such a great opening anyway. But they didn't even come close. What's interesting here is that this is a picture that Eastwood apparently passed on 33 years ago because he thought he was too young to play the part. He was about 58 at the time, and he's 91 now, so he's the right age for the part in this movie, but of course times have changed, and it's no longer the right time for the movie. Just, a fact of movie life. It is, as you know, Day and Dating on HBO Max, and that's not so good, is it?
No, it's certainly not helping. It's not helping any picture in terms of what it's going to do at the box office. Again, this is a older demographic, and as you pointed out in the past, that older demographic is more likely to stay at home and watch the picture on television as opposed to venturing out. And, all credit to Clint Eastwood on an amazing career. And, he's entitled to miss every now and then. It's just that this one may be an all-time low.
Absolutely. Listen, this is his 25th picture that he starred in and directed. So he certainly has made billions of dollars for mostly for Warner Brothers over the years. They've distributed most of his pictures. But, just to come back to a point you just touched on, this is for an older demo. It was tracking best with men and women over 25. And they, of course, are the group that's, like the last group to really come back to cinemas. And what's nice about HBO Max is you can stream it at home and you don't pay anything extra to see the Warner Brothers movies. Now with Disney Plus, they get you for another $30 when they do Premier Access movies. So that probably did not help the opening weekend of Cry Macho. And,
no, not at all.
And Dick, looking at some good news for Warner Brothers, much better news at least than Cry Macho, they opened Dune, their big Oscar contender and huge potential box office film. They opened it in 24 international markets this past weekend. The general projections were that it would do maybe in the mid-20 millions. It appears to have come in for the full week abroad to about $37 million, and that's in major territories like France, Germany, Russia, Italy, Spain. So that's very encouraging.
No, absolutely, and we're sitting here in just a dismal month, and October looks to be getting stronger, and of course the word on Dune is that this could be, as you say, a Oscar Best Picture contender. And interesting to note that the original opened to $31 million domestically. Its total run was $31 million domestically, and it almost did that much or did a little better internationally this time around in its very first weekend. So I think we've got something on our hands here, Marty.
Yeah, I think so, too. Now, the Oscar buzz for this picture got started when it had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, and it received a 7-minute standing ovation after the film screened, and that Oscar buzz just got started right then and there. The movie is directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is famous, justly so, for his sci-fi film Arrival a couple of years ago. This is his reimagination, let's call it, of the Frank Herbert book, not the original Dune movie, but the original book by Frank Herbert, 1965 classic sci-fi novel. And the star power here in Dune is considerable. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, and Zendaya. So this movie we're going to be talking about quite a lot. And in fact, let's take a look at this scene from Dune.
Our planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. rolling over the sands. You can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known. What's to become of our world?
That was a look at a scene from Dune. In the weeks ahead, we'll be seeing more films, or I should say more film scenes from Dune. It doesn't open domestically until October 22nd. Now, just to continue on Dune for a moment, Dune was one of several high-profile awards contenders that just screened at the 46th Annual Toronto International Film Festival, or TIFF for short, and they were not eligible to compete for the one big award at Toronto, which is the People's Choice Award. The reason for that is that the filmmakers, including Denis Villeneuve, would not agree to screen them digitally as well as in theaters. I think that's interesting, the filmmaker commitment to not put their pictures on digital, even if it was to qualify for an award, in this case at Toronto, Dick.
Yeah, I think we're seeing more and more of this. We're seeing some pushback from actors, directors. They are insisting upon the theatrical situation for their movies, and it's actually good to see, very healthy for exhibition.
Well, I think so, because, these directors are big enough, high-profile enough filmmakers to exert some influence over the studios. Now, there were two other pictures that also were at Toronto, and that did not qualify for the People's Choice Award because their filmmakers also said no to digital screenings. One of those was Last Night in Soho, directed by Edgar Wright. That's for Focus Features. And the other is really the picture that really has the buzz suddenly, and that is Neon's film Spencer, which is the romantic biodrama about the late Princess Diana, directed by Pablo Larraín, and it stars Kristen Stewart as Princess Diana. All three of these filmmakers said, I don't care if we're not eligible for the award, we're just not going to screen it digitally. Now, in the case, by the way, of Dune and Spencer, they wouldn't have been eligible even if they did screen because they were not official selections, so they were barred on that grounds as well. But Soho was an official selection. It could have been up for the award. But that leads us to the subject of, well, who did win? That's another picture that I think we'll be talking about in terms of the awards race, and at the box office, of course, who knows? That is from Focus Features as well. It's a black and white drama set in 1969 in Northern Ireland, directed by Kenneth Branagh, and it's called Belfast. It opens wide here November 12th. And Dick, the benefits of that exposure at Toronto and winning the People's Choice Award should be helpful in the Oscar race, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. TIFF has just come off a tremendous set of circumstances with the pictures they've had on their screens. And Belfast is one that's sitting there right now. It's all by itself on 11/12, which means that the other studios are respecting the possibility that this thing may very well open up big and play for a long time. And so right now it has the whole weekend to itself.
Right, and by the middle of November, hopefully, that adult audience that is sometimes referred to as the art house audience, looking for quality films, awards buzz films, will be very comfortable by then coming back to theaters. They're like the last holdouts, so to speak.
Well, and if it's Focus, they will not stream immediately. They will follow Universal's pattern. So we should have a theatrical exclusive for at least 17 days, and that should be enough time to see how much exhibition strength there is in the picture.
Yeah, and just looking back at last year, the People's Choice Award can be very helpful to an Oscar contender. Last year's winner was a little film nobody had heard much about from Searchlight called Nomadland. It won the PCA, and it wound up taking home 3 Oscars, including Best Picture, and also Best Director for Chloe Zhao, who's now directing The Eternals for Disney Marvel. The last 8 winners of the People's Choice Award at Toronto all received Best Picture Oscar nominations. So that definitely is good news for Belfast and for Kenneth Branagh. He's had 5 Oscar nominations over the years, and he hasn't won yet. Now, looking ahead to the near future brings us to next week, and on September 24th, there's an opening of a high-profile musical from Universal based on a very, very successful Tony Award-winning play, and that is, of course, Dear Evan Hansen. It's directed by Stephen Chbosky, who directed the 2017 live-action musical Beauty and the Beast. Before we talk about it, let's listen to Ben Platt, who stars as Evan Hansen, talking about playing that role.
My name's Ben Platt. I am Evan Hansen in the film and previously in the musical of Dear Evan Hansen. And when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. When I went into that first reading, I immediately felt this sort of strange synergy with this character of Evan, and here we are. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand.
That's Ben Platt talking about Dear Evan Hansen, and Dick, the tracking is not so great right now. The best first choice demo in the last tracking Friday was under 25 females, and that was about 3 points over norm. Okay, but nothing too exciting. What do you think the prospects are here?
Not very good. Again, September is proving to be just abysmal, and this is, again, the only picture opening wide the final weekend of September 24th. And the subject matter, as the fans know, is about suicide, and could be something that people will say, well, I'll just go ahead and wait a little bit on this one, and I'm not going to rush out to see it. That being said, it certainly has won a lot of awards on Broadway.
Well, yes, and the musical won 6 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, Best Score, and again, Ben Platt, Best Actor in a Musical. But the Broadway audience and the broad movie-going audience are 2 different kinds of crowds, I think. What plays well on Broadway doesn't always play well for movies, and yet over the years, Hollywood has turned to Broadway material countless times, going way, way, way back. The very first feature film shot in Hollywood was The Squaw Man by Cecil B. DeMille and Sam Goldwyn and Jesse Lasky. And The Squaw Man, they made the movie in 1907. In 1905, it was a hit play in New York. So, since the very earliest days of cinema, we have been adapting plays from the stage to the big screen. But who knows? We could be surprised. You never know. And as we get closer this week to it opening, the marketing will really kick in overdrive, and sometimes that can make a big difference as well, as you know.
Well, and you've talked about success and not success. Of course, the last Broadway play that we can all remember turned into a movie was Cats, and that absolutely bombed at the box office, and so it's not a guarantee of success, but certainly, Evan Hansen will close out September as we finish off what I believe is a 70-day month Marty. How long is September?
September is long enough. We can tell you this. No matter what happens, we will be back next weekend with another box office autopsy to talk about it, figure out what it means, and also to take a look at where we're going. And Dick, as you've just pointed to it, we are looking at what I think is going to be an overwhelming October with lots of great product. Certainly the Bond film No Time to Die, 25th in the Bond series. So we will have no shortage of material to talk about, and I'll see you again next week, and we'll both see all of you out there listening as well. Thanks for listening.
Time now for our film flashback look at what was happening in Hollywood right around now, way back then. Let's set today's time travel dial for September 16th, 1953. Exhibition was fighting for its life when The Robe premiered September 16, 1953, amid hopes that the new widescreen CinemaScope process would help theaters survive the onslaught of television. 68 years ago, exhibitors faced extinction because audiences could now stay home and watch content, the same threat streaming presents today. In 1953, people were addicted to shows airing on the fledgling TV networks like I Love Lucy and Texaco's Star Theater with Milton Berle. Unlike moviegoing, TV was free once you purchased a set. Early TV screens were small and shows were in black and white, but people didn't care. Motion picture attendance plunged, and studios needed something to bring audiences back to cinemas. Then, as now, the movie-going experience was the solution. Hollywood introduced widescreen movies with stereo sound and Technicolor. CinemaScope was based on a film process developed in 1926 by French inventor Henri Chrétien, which failed to win film industry interest. In 1952, Hollywood had seen some success attracting moviegoers with Cinerama, a widescreen process using 3 projectors and a huge curved screen in specially built theaters, and with 3D films requiring glasses for viewing. 20th Century Fox president Spiro Skouras asked his research department about creating a new widescreen projection system that could be inexpensively installed in existing cinemas and seen without glasses. Fox discovered Chrétien's patent, which had expired, and acquired his technology. Skouras gave a green light to developing what became CinemaScope. The Robe, an historical drama set in the Roman province of Judea during the 1st century, starred Richard Burton, Gene Simmons, and Victor Mature. Although it was the first CinemaScope film to open, it was actually the second to be filmed. The musical How to Marry a Millionaire, starring Marilyn Monroe, Betty Grable, and Lauren Bacall, finished production first, but Fox wanted to launch CinemaScope with an epic. Both movies helped bring audiences back to cinemas, prompting the development of other widescreen processes like VistaVision, 70mm Todd AO, and Panavision. But it's CinemaScope that was memorialized by Cole Porter in his 1955 Broadway musical Silk Stockings, with lyrics advising, if you want to get the crowds to come around, you gotta have glorious Technicolor, breathtaking CinemaScope, and stereophonic sound. When Silk became a 1957 MGM movie starring Fred Astaire and Sid Charisse, it was, fittingly, shot in CinemaScope. And that's it for today's podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with another box office autopsy next week. In Hollywood for Screen Dollars, I'm Martin Grove.